Good afternoon, guys. Happy Thursday. Want to dive right into it real quick with you guys, give you guys some certainty as far as where we are headed toward with ETH. What are some of the levels that we really need to be looking at? Now, for you guys that are inside of Discord, I posted a pretty lengthy and detailed description as far as what's going on with ETH and what we should be looking at, especially with this total pattern that we're looking at. And in addition to that, we also have reaccumulation, redistribution levels that we should be looking at. So first things first, you guys are probably wondering where you should be entering, especially if you didn't have the opportunity to catch that dip and catch that fall, where we should be looking at. So let's go into lower time frames and let's just pick that apart for the time being. We did have a couple patterns that formed on a 15-minute. We were executing, at least mapping from a 4-hour. What we were is looking at this move up right here, essentially being a wave 1. And we're looking at these levels being a wave 2. Now, we are not out of the woods just yet, even though we're having a little bit of a move up right now at this current time of this recording. There is still room to come back down to these levels. So I'm looking at anywhere between 32.19 down to 31.57. Now, if we hold these levels and we get a wave 3 and we move higher, which we would get a wave 3, excuse me, then wave 4 essentially is going to be sharp. So I'd be on the lookout for that, because wave 4 essentially is going to be coming down to two levels, either 0.32 or 6.8 and lower. So ideally, if we want to see that run continue to go up and not see the notorious retrace that we always see with ETH, ideally we'd really want to get down into these levels like 31.57, 32.19. I'd even go down for 31.08 inside of these levels. That way we can have a nice healthy wave 3, have a short retracement on wave 4, and then have that extension pump on wave 5. So these are going to be the levels that you should be looking at and paying attention to. If you started longing inside of these areas, then obviously treat them as scalps for the time being. And my professional advice would be that. Going down to a 15-minute, this is kind of what we're looking at right here, because we can see that this order block right over here didn't even get tapped into. It just came right above it. There was another order block that formed just above that. And then we have a fair value gap inside this area that actually stretches all the way down. This actually should have been a little bit lower. I don't know why I did that. Down to these levels. So it's a pretty thick fair value gap that we can come into and clear some of that imbalance. And you can see these levels, the bottom of it is right around 31.84. And if we go back over to a 4-hour and we look at those levels, that's right above this 0.76 level. That's somewhere right inside of these levels right over here. So just be mindful of that, because there is room in liquidity to go and collect down to the downside. Now, in the event wrong and we form an order block right over here, we start moving on back up, what's going to be one of the levels that I'm looking at? Well, first things first, I'm looking at this level right here, 33.72. That's going to be a pivotal point for us to be breaking into. Coupled with that, then we need to break above right around 34.78. I'll go back over to a 4-hour and just show you guys what I'm looking at when it comes to that 34.78 level. Let's just go ahead and put a horizontal line on that. We can see, let's bring that up just a little bit. We can see obviously from the October 10th drop, that was support in that time being, and we're now rejecting it. So this is becoming a pretty pivotal area for us. Now, if we can crack above this, then we're looking at these levels right over here. I'd say this would be at bare minimum. And I think the real battle is going to be right inside of this area. So anywhere in between here, we can obviously see from the fixed value range, we can see where there's a good amount of pressure that's going to be sitting inside of this zone. That's going to be inside of the 3800s. So inside the 3800s, I'd be looking to see what kind of rejections that we're going to be seeing. Now, if we get acceptance and we can push above that, for this pattern that you see on here, this is a total. This is the main one that I'm using on the 4-hour. We're looking at this level right over here, TP2. So if we can take this area, right, if we can break above wave B, we can kind of hold this area from a bullish perspective. Then I'm looking at TP2 being somewhere inside of this zone right over here. And then I would, to see maybe a short correction down, maybe come back and retesting wave B, and then ultimately coming back and taking this area. Now, this setup kind of sets up with the weekly that we've been discussing We had this move down to here. Wave A came right to 0.382 level. It's something that we've been discussing in previous videos. Hopefully you guys caught that long. The map has been sitting inside of Discord for a couple weeks now, to be quite honest. So I just did a refresher for you guys, so that way it's right there in front of you. Make note of it, study it, because we did come directly to this level right at that 0.382. Now we're looking for a wave B, right? Because this essentially is going to be the ABC correction. Just kind of back and showing you guys just a quick refresher on that. And we have those peaks, we go into an ABC correction. This essentially is what would be quote unquote our bear markets, right? So ABC corrections, and then we have a top ABC correction, and then obviously we had another top, so we should be going into an ABC correction before we go a lot higher. So let's zoom back into that. So that being said, those levels that I was talking about before, at 3,800, that's going to be a pretty significant battleground. And then wave B really starts at 4130s, 4446. If you recall, on this 4 hour, you have a shaved head that sits right around 4427. So from a fib level perspective on the weekly, 4446 kind of lines up with this area. So that's going to be another area that I'm really going to be paying attention to. And wave B can actually go all the way up to 0.88 level. So this is not set in stone. I'm giving you the levels as far as where it can go to. Very similar to what I was showing you here for wave A. Could have went to 0.382, or wave A could have came down to 0.5, and it came down to 0.382. Going back over to a 15-minute real quick for you guys. This is going to be the main level that we want to see just going into the remainder of the week. If we can ideally get into 3,500, if this week can close inside of 3,500, I feel that we're definitely going to be crushing that 3,800 going into the week, and maybe even the week and a half. So that's something to be paying attention to as far as how the week is going to close. It's a lot of pressure for the next couple of days, obviously today being Thursday, to close above 3,500. But the levels that I had mapped out for this was going to be right around here, 3,563. This is from a wave count that I'm utilizing, that I believe that if we can get into this level, maybe even around in this level, this would be an advanced wave, then we have a really good shot of closing above 3,800 in the following weeks, and then pushing up higher into those 4,400s by the end of November. November could close bullish, and that could change the narrative for a lot. I'd rather be positioned and be wrong about the direction versus not positioned, miss a move, and then it continues to go up, or enter into the wrong side of the coin and then get taken out. So point being to that is, these moves that you see to the downside right now, considering that we're literally only on the 6th day of the month, I'd be looking at these as opportunities to start buying some of these dips, looking at your lower time frame levels, where to be taking profits from, where to be scaling out, or maybe even potentially looking into hedging. Hedging is not a bad idea right now. Let's take a look at DMI real quick before I let you guys go. We're going to go back over to a 4 hour. This is going to be where the main map I like to use at DMI, showing that there's still bearish strength in the market, and they still holding that momentum. So it's still a bearish ground altogether. And if we float down to lower time frames, such as like a 55-minute, there's a small little amount of loss of strength inside of those areas. Nothing that I would be, writing home to mama about. And if we come down to a little bit lower time frames, such as like a 15-minute, we can see that there is a loss of strength and loss of momentum. But that's really just kind of on this sharp move that we had to the downside. On a 15-minute, this move up right over here, this essentially was a wave 5. And then we have an A, B, and then we have a C. So now we're looking at a C correction. So right now, what you'd be looking at on a lower time frame now is going to be looking for a short little pump up. And then you're going to see a retracement, probably retracing about 76, maybe even 88% of that move. And then you're going to see another wave 3. And that should happen here in the next couple of days. If not by the end of today, going into Asia and London. If not by tomorrow, going into New York. You guys, the setups that we had, one was the 4 hour total. That's that one there. And then let's go into what I was looking at was the accumulation for us, some zones that we should be paying attention to. All right. So let's go ahead and minimize some of this. And this plays into with the 4 hour total. Let me put that back on as well too for you guys, just so you guys have that for additional reference, because they go kind of hand in hand, and you can see the levels that I'm looking at. So really it's inside of this area right over here, that we should be focusing on, right? Price action can come in inside of this zone before moving back up. So I wouldn't fret. And if we go back over to our daily time frame viewpoint, right, daily still has this level on the map, right? So this is for daily, right? If we continue to sink down lower, if bearish momentum and strength continues to come down lower, then this is going to be the level that I believe is going to be the absolute bottom for us. There is some confluence here in this area. I do know that we're going to be revisiting this area at some point. That's without a doubt. It's just a matter if we're going to be revisiting that area here now inside of November before moving back up. So that's why I'm saying going back over to a 4-hour. If we just look at some of our accumulation zones and what they look like, and you can see where it's all mapped out for you guys, we can come back into this area and just start accumulating. Now I have us right around the 14th of November. You can see on a fib zone, this is where I'm anticipating that we'll start to bottoming out, if you will. So if we start bottoming out in these areas, making higher lows, then essentially then this map becomes the main map, and we're looking for these levels to be tapped into. And if we go back over to a 4-hour, it's this total program. Listen to me. It's this total pattern that we're going to be utilizing for levels and TPs to be taken for. So if we're going to be looking for add backs or anything like that, I'll be guiding you guys through that, especially if you're inside of the trading tournament. That's mainly where I'm hanging out for the majority of the day. And if you guys have any concerns or misunderstandings about setups, always feel free to message me inside there. I'm more than happy to assist you as we go through this, but this is what it is. Now, today, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am going to be streaming with you guys live, looking at some live setups going into Asia session. Now, I will do my absolute best to try to record it. I don't know if there's going to be a massive lag when it comes to that. If there's a lag, then I'll just give you guys a written out transcript, if you will, as far as what that class was about, what we went over, things of that nature. But because you guys are inside of Discord, you have direct access to me. You could always reach out to me either directly through DM or find me inside general chat or inside of the trading tournament chat sections. More than happy to assist you guys, guide you through this stuff. All that I ask is make sure that you have your chart readily available versus just saying, hey, where's entry, where's stop loss? Let's put some effort behind it and I'll be more than happy to help you. Other than that, be safe out there today, guys. It's getting towards the end of the week. Be profitable as you go through the remainder of the week. Take profits in those areas. If it works for you, take profit. It's not going to be 0 to $1 million in one shot. So take profit, enjoy your life, be safe while you're out there. And above all, God bless. Peace.